What's up guys? My name is Lisa and welcome to my channel. Today I'll be showing you how to build your own donut board. This idea came to me when I saw inspiration on Pinterest about these beautiful donut boards and my wedding was coming up, so I really wanted a really fun and cool dessert table, and I figured why not build my own donut board, make it more budget friendly and use it for my own wedding. So I'll be showing you step by step how I created my donut board, and you can definitely customize this, make it as big as you want or small as you want according to your preference or what you're going to be using it for. For this video, I'm going to show you on a smaller scale what I created, and at the end of this video I'll show you the donut board that I created for my wedding. I'll also be showing you tricks and tips on how to make this very budget friendly, and I'll show you various ways to make the donut board without having to use all of the tools that I use in case you don't have them. I'll do my best to try to link all the tools that I use down in the description below as well. The first thing you're going to want to do is head over to your local Home Depot or Lowe's and pick up a wooden board. Hey guys, so here we are at Home Depot. I'm gonna pick out my piece of plywood. I decided I think I'm gonna go with a 4x4 and get that cut down. With this I can probably make about 4 different donut boards with various size, and I want them to be very thick, at least 3/4 of an inch thick, so then that way there's more space for the pegs to go in. That makes them a little bit more sturdier. That way they wouldn't fall off after you have your whole donut set up on there. So this is what I found here. So this is the board that we're going to be going with. And I'm going to have one of the guys here at Home Depot help me cut it down to fit in my car and to size. Next up, we're going to get the little dowels that are going to be the little pegs for the donut board. Now there's a lot of different size, and honestly it just depends on your preference on how big you want your dowels to be. I think I'm going to go with the 1/2 inch here. I think that's going to be at least thick enough so that it's going to be sturdy, but not too big where it's gonna take up all of the hole in the donut when you're hanging it up. So we're just gonna grab a couple of these. All right, now that we have cut our board down to the right size, we're gonna start marking out where we want to drill the holes to hold our peg. So what I like to start to do is I like to leave a large space at the top. This is where going to be your donut sign or lettering are going to be. So for that, I'm probably going to leave about 4 inches at the top for the sign or the lettering. And then I'm going to go from there and probably go down another 3 inches. And this is going to be where the first line is of where my pegs are going to be lined up on. So let's get to measuring. Okay, now that we've finished marking where we're gonna drill the holes for the peg, let's go get our drill and our drill bit and start drilling the holes in here. All right, so for this next steps, we're gonna grab our drill and our drill bit. So for this one, I'm gonna be using a 1/2 inch drill bit. The reason being is because the peg that we picked out is also 1/2 inch. So it's just gonna fit perfectly. Might be a little tight, but don't worry, it'll fit. So we wanna make sure that the size of the peg and the size of our drill bit is gonna be able to work together. And because this is a 3/4 inch plywood, as you can see here, I'm just gonna measure out how deep I want my hole is gonna be. I don't want to actually go and drill all the way through the board. I know I've seen some people have done that before and I just didn't like how it looks. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna drill pretty much to the entire length of this drill bit. So I'm putting a piece of tape here just as a visual reminder. It helps me see when to stop once that blue tape reaches the flat surface of the board. All right, so let's get started. After you are done drilling all of the holes, you're gonna want to vacuum up all of the loose wood chips or sawdust before you begin sanding it down. Now for sanding, I'm gonna start with the coarsest grit, and I think that's either 60 or 80 grits, and I'm gonna work my way up to 220. So I'm gonna sand it with 3 different types of grit sandpaper, just to give it an ultra smooth finish at the end. And you're gonna wanna sand both sides of the board as well as these sides. All right, now that we've sanded down our board and the dowels for the pegs, we're just gonna give it a quick wipe down just to get rid of any excess dust or any of the wood shavings off there. Get the sides. And same thing with the dowels. Okay. Now I'm gonna put just a piece of wood under this to lift it up. So that when I'm painting, I can allow it to dry and it's easier for me to get the sides as well. Same thing for the dowels. Okay, now for my donut board, I'm gonna go with a white paint. This is something that I just have lying around the house from one of my other projects. It's gonna be the Bear Marquee in cameo white. It's a really pretty white, so this is what just I'm gonna be using to paint my board. The one thing I like to do is I hate the cleanup whenever I get these trays. So I like to just put a paper or a plastic bag down. That way, when I'm done with it, I can just wrap the bag up, throw it away. I don't have to clean up any paint. And I can reuse this tray. I like to also sand down my dowels and paint them before I cut them, because just painting one long dowel is going to be a lot easier than painting a bunch of little mini ones after you cut them down. And after you cut them down, you can just go over and touch up some spots and paint the sides where it's going to be bare. So it's been a couple of hours and the board is dry now. I did do 2 coats of paint over the front and the back and the sides off camera. And right now I'm gonna add a polyurethane top coat over it. So the polyurethane helps protect the wood from scratches or damages. And the nice thing about this is these finish, as long as you allow it to cure, I think for a minimum of 30 days at room temperature, it becomes food safe. So in the beginning, I recommend adding a little dolly or napkin behind if you're gonna use this donut board immediately. But if you have time, allow it to cure for 30 days and afterwards it will be considered food safe to actually hang the donuts without any dollies or napkins. The polyurethane tend to leave a shiny finish, but this one is actually a crystal clear matte, and it's very fast dry time. They recommend about 3 coats of this, and it can be reapplied every 2 hours. If you wait more than 24 hours to reapply your next coat, they recommend lightly sanding it down and then reapplying the coat. So right now, I'm just gonna add my first coat of polyurethane. I'm gonna do this with a brush. Now I'm going to show you two different ways to cut down your dowels into smaller pegs to hold up your donuts. The first is using a miter saw. Now if you do have a miter saw at home, that's amazing. This way it's going to be very quick and easy. First, you're just going to have to measure out where you want to make the cuts for your pegs. Now if you don't have a miter saw laying around at home, that's okay, because you can simply buy a hand saw and manually cut down the pegs yourself. Now this does take a little bit more work and it's a little bit longer to do, but it's still very doable and very budget friendly because you don't have to go buy a miter saw. For my pegs, I'm going to be measuring out 3 3/4 inches, and this will allow me to hold 2 donuts for each peg. It's going to be a lot easier if you measure out your pegs ahead of time instead of making one cut and then measuring again. However, do keep in mind to take into the account the width of your blade. Right now, I'm going to show you an alternative to creating the decal. This is going to be a very budget-friendly way to create the decal for the donut board if you don't want to order them off Etsy, because that can get a little bit pricey. This is very simple. All you need is blue painter tape and an X-Acto knife. And I got this template online. Just created, it says donut bar. Because my board is about 24 inches, I had to print them on 2 separate pieces of paper to make it longer. That way it'll fit the length of the board. So first, you're just going to take your painter's tape and set up I'm going to go on a cutting board here. Now you're going to continue this down until you have a big enough width that will fit the words. Okay, now that you have that taped down, you can start using, just taking your X-Acto knife and going around the outline of this and start cutting out. What you want to cut out is the black, because as soon as you cut that out and we transfer it onto the donut board, we can spray paint it, and that is going to be how we're going to get. Once you're done cutting out all the letters, you're just going to remove them and put your template onto your board and spray paint it. once you have everything, now you can assemble your donut board by placing the pegs into their respective holes. It's going to be a little bit tough because the holes and the pegs are the same exact size, but with a little bit of maneuvering, you're going to be able to get it in. I like to softly use a hammer to help me get the pegs in if it seems stuck or it really just doesn't want to go in. And this should be the result of your donut board. So I hope you found this video helpful, and if so, please click that like button down below and give this video a thumbs up. I would really appreciate that. If you do decide to create your own donut board, please let me know down in the comments below how it went for you and what did you use it for. I would love to see. Thank you so much for joining me, and once again for watching this video. I hope you have a lot of fun making your own donut board, and have a good day.